Hi, I'm Kimberly Keneally with Crafting with Kimberly, and today I'll be making a hand-painted puzzle for the Arts Council of the Southern Finger Lakes for Make It Mondays in celebration of National Youth Art Month. In your kit, you will find a tinfoil wrapped puzzle, the instructions, and one of these paint sets. I would also suggest having a cup of water, possibly other paint brushes. This is a nylon brush, and it's a little hard to get the paint on there in good flowy marks, so you might want to have just a soft bristle brush, paintbrush, a pencil, possibly a Sharpie pen if you want to make details and extra thick lines, and a paper towel. Carefully open up your puzzle piece, spread out the tin foil. This will give you a nice surface to protect your table, whatever you're painting on. So this gives you something that's going to protect that table. You'll see the puzzle. There's a front and a back. The front is shiny and you can really clearly see the puzzle marks. On the back, it's not as clear of where the marks are and it's not shiny. So you want to take your puzzle and flip it over. I highly suggest taking a pencil and numbering your squares on the back. And you can just easily write them right in the middle of the puzzle. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and so on. So easily write your numbers. You can see on my finished example, I wrote them in big Sharpie numbers to make it easy to see. So I numbered each one. So you'll have 1 through 7, 8 through 14, 15 through 21, and 20 through 28. Numbering helps you be able to put your puzzle back together if you're having trouble with it. An important part of deciding of what to paint on your puzzle, this is my example, you want to make sure whatever you're painting on your puzzle, you have a little bit of something on each puzzle piece. If you have a lot of blank space, it's going to be very difficult to put your puzzle back together because you really won't have anything to show you, oh, I need a piece of the beak and another piece of the beak, or whatever your picture is. So by numbering it, if you don't have something on every piece, numbering it on the back really helps you be able to put that back together. So you don't have to do that, but you can. This is my example of what I painted, but you can paint anything that you want to paint. You can just put color all over, you can scribble, you can write, whatever you want to do. And if you don't want to paint, you can also use crayons, you can use markers. We're just going to concentrate on painting a picture. So again, this is my example, but you could do anything that you want to do. What you might want to do is get a piece of printer paper. You can see that basically the puzzle is the size of half. So there's a half and there's a half. So I could draw 2 different pictures or flip it over and have 4. I drew some examples. This is just some flowers. All I did was draw some circles and some leaves coming down in the rays of the sun. And then I came up with that picture and said, oh, I want to do that. So this is the picture that I'm going to do. But again, you can do whatever. If you want to just start painting, you can do that. Just go right ahead and start to paint. If you want to draw your picture first, with a pencil, you can do that so you can see what you like, and then that way you can erase. So if you draw kind of softly, you can erase your marks if that's not what you want to do, or if you make a mistake. One thing I really suggest is do not use a lot of water with your paint, because this is cardboard. You don't want to soak it too much. And the paint will bleed, which means it will spread all over the place if it's too runny. So you really want just enough paint to get your water to get your paints wet and able to use them. So I'm going to still draw this picture so you can see how I did it. And to make it look easier to see on the video, I'm going to use my Sharpie pen instead of the pencil. So I decided, all right, I want to have a nice sun right in the middle. So I'm going to just draw a circle. And there's my sun. I want to have one bird on this side. Now this bird is basically just a teardrop. So I'm going to start at a point, going to draw a wide kind of half of an oval, and come back up to my point. There's my bird body. I want to give it feathers and a tail. So I'm just going to do a circle, bring a line down, do another little curly Q, and another curly Q, and another curly Q. I want my bird to have legs, so I'm just going to draw some lines. And the bird needs to see, so he needs an eye. And because I'm using the Sharpie pen, I'm just going to give him a nice big dot right there. We needs a beak, and that's just a triangle. And let's give him a wing. I'm going to do just a small half of a smile, and there's a wing. And if you want to decorate it, I'm just going to put a little bit of a wavy line. And there's my one bird. I'm going to have another bird on the other side. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at one point, draw an oval, and come back up to a point. I'm going to give this bird a tail, and another squiggly line, and let's do some little squiggles. My bird needs an eye. Let's put an eye and a dot. Let's give this bird a beak, and let's give this bird some legs. Simple as that. And I'm going to do a third bird. Let's do a little bird. Same thing. Start at a point. There we go. Tail. Some legs. A beak. And an eye. Give that little guy a wing. I think I'm just going to draw some little lines like that. And I forgot the wing over here, so let's give a wing to this bird too. That's how I'm going to decorate that wing. And then I think I want some flowers in my picture. So all I'm going to do is draw some circles. I'm going to do them different heights. So do little ones, big ones, little circles. I'm going to put a couple in between their legs because it's a nice flower field that they're standing in. Lots of circles. And then to make a stem, I can just draw a line, or I can paint that in. I'm going to draw it in because I can paint over this. So I'm going to give them all some stems. And now, how about some leaves? Just a little almost like a little triangle. And again, if you're doing this in pencil and you put something where you don't want it, you can erase it. These are tiny, so I'm just going to draw a little line. They don't have to have leaves if you don't want them to. So you can see I'm just drawing some little triangles. So now I have some leaves. And I decided, like I said, I wanted to have something on all parts of my puzzle. So I am also going to draw some hearts. And a heart, an easy way to draw a heart is almost like a long backward C. That's a regular C with the long tail, and then a backward C. And there's a heart. And you can put these wherever you want. To make it interesting, I'm going to do some sideways so I can move my puzzle. And then maybe one right here. So even though I did this picture before, you can see it's kind of the same, but the hearts are in different places. It doesn't really matter. And I think I want to make my birds have a little bit more extra, so I'm going to give them some little feathers on top of their head. That just gives it a little extra character. So there we go. So then now I have the picture drawn on my birds, and because I use the black marker, I can now see it very clearly. If I use the pencil and had my picture the way that I wanted it to be, you can also take a black Sharpie marker and go over it. You can see in my example, I also have some rays of the sun. I'm not going to draw those in. I'm going to just paint them in. So let me show you how we're going to paint. You want to get your paintbrush with some water. And let's start with the yellow. I'm going to start with the sun. So I'm going to dab some water onto my paint. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to paint with this brush. It's a nylon brush, so it's a little harder to have the bristles soak up the paint. So you can see I rub that around quite a lot. And now I'm just going to add that to my picture. So I'm going to pick up some more paint. Spread it around. I can stay inside my lines. If I go outside my lines, that's okay too. Now there's my sun. If I want it to be even darker, I'm going to wait for that to dry and then paint over it again. But I'm done with the yellow for right now, so I'm going to rinse off my brush, wipe off my paintbrush to make sure I don't get my colors mixed up. I'm going to come over to my blue, add some water to that, and now load my paintbrush up. And now I'm going to very carefully paint around. You can see if you have too much water, it wants to get runny. So you don't want your paint to be too runny because then it's going to go way outside your lines and you don't want that. You can see just a little bit of paint goes a really long way. I can paint this whole bird with just one set of paints. Now, you can see I went over my wings. Well, what happens if I make a mistake and I say, oh no, I didn't want to paint my wings? That's the nice part of the paper towel. You can take your paper towel and you can, while it's still wet, you can wipe right off, and you can see I took all the paint off of those wings. Now I can fix that by just going up there. So now I can paint my wings a different color. If you wanted all the same color, that's fine. But if you wanted a different color, I wanted to show you how to fix a mistake. So I'm just smoothing that all out. And if I want my bird to be darker, I'll let that dry again. These paints like to have about 2 coats. So once you paint it, maybe go over it again, or just be happy with that. But each time you're going to paint, you need to rinse off your brush, and I like to wipe it so you don't get your colors mixed up, because otherwise, if you start to put different colors in your paint, you're going to get a completely different color, and then when you really want a pure orange, you're not going to have it. So for this one, because I didn't have any separation, I can't make that wing a different color. I'm just going to paint all over that bird. He's going to be a little orange bird. And sometimes you just might have to pick up more paint. But to get really, really, really dark colors, you want to make sure, let it dry, and then go back again. So you can see how easy this is, because I have started with my drawing. So now I don't even really have to think about what to do. I can just color it in because my picture's already there. But if you're painting from scratch, that works too. If you're just starting to paint, just keep going. But see how you really definitely want to not have a lot of water in there. Just a little bit, just to give it enough. And you can paint this any color, any way you want. And you just keep painting on your puzzle. What you want to make sure is let your puzzle dry completely before picking it up or wanting to take it apart to make your puzzle. Make sure it's really, really dry first. For grass, I'm just going to kind of draw a line and go up a little bit. I'm just going to give myself a little bit of grass there along the bottom. You can dab it and just tap, and that makes it look like you have blades of grass. And I'm just going to go all the way across. Give myself some grass. Go up. You can make sure you get the leaves painted. Just going through. And now I have grass on the bottom. I'm going to show you what it looks like for the sun rays. I'm going to get some yellow. And I'm just going to draw some lines. Come over here, continue that, and go all the way through. So these are the sun rays. Sometimes when you look at the sky, you can see sun rays. Plus, by drawing these rays, this is giving me more parts of my puzzle. So now I'm covering my pieces. Because remember, we want to have something on almost all almost all of the puzzle pieces. I'm just picking up some paint. And there you go. Now I have some sun rays. If you didn't see it as bright as you want, you can take a pencil and draw a line. And then that way you can see your sun rays a little clearer too. That's all right too. So to do the flowers, just paint circles in whatever colors you want to have your flowers. And that's a nice way to make a flower, is just a circle. You don't have to worry about petals, and it's still very colorful. And I'm just using all the colors that I have to make nice, pretty colored flowers. And for a beak, you can either have it be yellow or orange or a combination or whatever color you want. For me, I'm going to give him an orange beak. I'm going to give her a yellow beak. And I'm going to do yellow down here too. So you would continue painting until you have it all finished. This is my example of my finished puzzle. This has been drying for a couple of days now, and you can see almost everything has something on it. There are some blank spaces, but I still have this little part of the leg on this one, part of the body, so it's all different. You can see that I have my numbered background. So when you're ready to make your puzzle, you can just take your pieces very carefully for the very first time, because they might want to stick. So carefully take them off, put them all together, and then you're able to make your puzzle again and again. So I hope you have fun designing your own puzzle. I hope I showed you how to make some nice, easy birds and flowers, but have fun and do whatever design that you like. Happy crafting!